It's a different matchup than our last game, but we're definitely looking to bounce back from it. Imagine playing in a sold-out arena, making history, and no one watching on TV. That's what happened to DiJonai Carrington and the Connecticut Sun. We stayed disciplined, we followed the scouting report, and we just played so hard for each other. I'm so proud of everyone on our team. Really, a lot of it is just being in shape, having effort, and having the will to work defense. That same week, nearly 1 million people watched another WNBA game. Before we continue, I would like to ask you a small favor. Please take a moment to like this video if you enjoy this content. Additionally, over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing, which is free of charge but has a significant impact on us. Now, let's go back to the video. Picture this: TD Garden is packed and the crowd is excited and ready for some WNBA action. However, there is a strange thing. All the big TV cameras are gone, and there are no countrywide networks in sight. This scene was the catalyst for DiJonai Carrington's rage. Teal Onut, number 21, appears to be exhausted, as Carrington uses the F grade to score 6 points for Carrington during this third quarter. What specifically infuriated DiJonai throughout this game? Let's break it down. The Connecticut Sun played the Boston Celtics in the first ever WNBA game at TD Garden. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? Not everyone agreed though, and some fans weren't happy. One fan said that neither squad scored more than 70 points, which would be like ordering a pizza and getting a piece of bread stained with ketchup. Let's find out, gentlemen, what you thought of this game. Let's break it down. Look, well, that's not exactly exciting basketball, would it? However, according to Jai, the game was amazing and a must-see event. So why wasn't anyone else worried? Let's talk about the numbers. This particular game, less than 500,000 people watched it. Now contrast it with a recent Caitlin Clark game. That particular one, 1.22 million people watched the broadcast. That is over twice as much. Why is this happening? It seems as though Caitlin Clark is packing venues and DiJonai and her colleagues are playing in an empty gymnasium. How in the world does that occur? Is celebrity power all it takes? And then transition, get into more of a flow action, or a secondary action said to have got one called. Also, they got the foul and then both got technical. Or is there another factor at work? The truth is that national attention isn't usually a direct result of local enthusiasm. To put it plainly, one commentator said it was something that people got into locally. Story adds here that has absolutely no national appeal. Awkward, but perhaps there's some merit to that. But Di isn't having it. She criticized the WNBA for not doing enough to promote the game. We're creating history here. She thinks to herself, why isn't this topic being discussed? Furthermore, what do you know? Perhaps she is correct. But let's be honest for a second. If the game wasn't exactly what the networks had planned, can you really blame them for not showing up? Is a question to be triumphed. Can you really blame them for not showing up? Is a question to be triumphed. Can you really blame them for not showing up? It would be like throwing a party and then realizing that you forgot to send out invitations for Jai. This game turned out to be a turning point. For a moment, let's talk about Caitlin Clark. Everyone is enamored with this rookie who is dominating the WNBA. But why is it about Clark that has fans and TV executives salivating in the first place? All of the frustration she had been feeling just exploded into flames, and she wonders, what about us, as she watches other players get all the attention and television time? How about our match? The intriguing part comes when some of the league's more experienced players feel a little left out. She's not just talented, she's exceptionally talented. We're talking about scoring goals like it's old hat, smashing records left and right, and creating plays that make opponents stutter. It's like watching a basketball enchantress perform her tricks on the court. Despite some players' claims that Clark's star is flying faster than a rocket, D has taken a new set after just 2 people were fouled here in 3 quarters. I'm referring specifically to DiJonai Carrington, who was furious because her game wasn't getting much TV exposure at the time. It must be a little painful when you've been giving it your all in the league and then all of a sudden this kid comes in and takes all the attention, isn't it? Caitlin Clark's game was drawing crowds like free tacos at a food truck while hers went unnoticed. Over 1.2 million people are expected to watch Clark perform, which is more than twice as many people as watched DJI's game. The issue is that it's not just DiJonai. Many players are also feeling the heat after Clark's explosive start. They seem to be playing the game normally until Caitlin Clark suddenly appeared, at which point the game was changed. How are the fans reacting to all of this drama? It's a mixed bag. Although some individuals reject it, others wholeheartedly concur with Jai that the league ought to market all of its players more effectively, not only the young, showy ones. Caitlin Clark expresses the concept of woke. Clark says that most players experience the game as a ritual rather than an escape. One admirer put it plainly, saying, "Stop crying, come on, it hurts." That must be excruciating. Another fan brought up the fact that you-know-who was playing in the only Sun games that actually drew crowds. It takes 3 guesses to figure out who they are talking about, but it gets hotter still. Some fans are accusing players like DJ of being jealous and abusive toward Clark. How about fanning the flames even more? Like in high school drama, but with million-dollar contracts up for grabs and national TV deals. When one fan said nobody cares that Clark is the draw for the most part off the bench, with the energy packing the power off of the bounce, tough finish beats the tough. It was the worst part. Buzzer may be harsh, but is it really the case that people only watch Caitlin Clark, putting other exceptional players like Jai in the background? This whole situation is shaking the WNBA like a snow globe. Many people are drawn to the new stars. The league is trying to figure out how to make everyone happy, but it's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while standing on a unicycle. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. What does all of this mean for the future of the NBA? Players like Jai are having to quickly adapt, so they're realizing that they need to figure out how to stand out and become indispensable in this new Clark-centric. Being good is no longer enough. You now need to be exceptional on and off the court. The important question is whether the league gains or loses from Caitlin Clark's effect, though, as she attracts spectators as if it were no big issue. On the one hand, more spectators mean more revenue, sponsorships, and anything else that must be helpful at the moment. Let's deal with the major problem the WNBA appears to be trying to run before they can walk, which is causing a lot of stress as they face serious growth issues. The 6th-ranked team in the nation, so we know they're going to score when they make the run, but we knew we just needed to fight it, and we did. Now, I just need to make sure I keep my window open so I can continue to contribute offensively, but it's just focus. Thank you, DJ. It's like inviting only your cousins to your party, not to mention the attention from the media. The WNBA seems to be the underdog in the sports world, constantly vying for attention and infection. Instead of giving the WNBA primetime slots, most networks would prefer to air repeats of previous games, which is enough to make you wonder if they're wearing invisible uniforms while playing. Okay, no problem. The first issue is viewership. Given the caliber of players on the court, one would think that spectators would be glued to their televisions. However, this is where things get complicated. Some supporters argue that the league is unprofessional, and one publicly claimed that they will never be able to expand because they will never be able to secure corporate product endorsements following Caitlin Clark's envious behavior. I understand her frustration, but yelling on social media about not being shown on TV would be like yelling for the rain to stop. It won't change anything, but it might make you feel better. Shoe contracts, clothing brands, and television exposure must hurt even more. What do you know, Jai and other players aren't exactly making things better. Not only is this outburst issue hurting Joni, but they are also harming the league's reputation. It's like trying to sell a car with a big ding on the hood. You know that people will notice and not be happy. Because of everything I've been through and getting me back to normal, but you know that you can't do anything without your teammates. Kaiton must be a little bit smarter here, right? You just want to contest? Oh, that's definitely well within the time. Caitlin Clark has had success doing this a few times here early in the WNBA. Let's talk about endorsements and sponsorships. This is where things get complicated, because companies want to link their brand to celebrities and crowd drawers. But what if athletes are acting resentfully and jealously? You know, that's not exactly the image Gatorade wants to put on their bottles, which seem like a catch. The requirement that 22 players be noticed in order to obtain endorsements just makes it more difficult for them to get both when they lash out, because they aren't receiving the unpleasant, "on Steph Curry's finger," she said. On Steph Curry's finger. Hoop is spinning more quickly than a basketball. What is the WNBA supposed to do with Caitlin Clark then? They have a rising star who is attracting a lot of fans, yet they can't just give up and make the Caitlin Clark display a large number of talented players in the league as well. The WNBA will have a lot of disgruntled campers if they can't figure out how to share the love. There was an expression, he can't figure out how to share the love. Therefore, the league needs to figure out how to capitalize on Clark's celebrity status to improve the league as a whole. Perhaps they will pair her up for special events with more seasoned players, or use her notoriety to highlight other up-and-coming talents. Merit, their moment in the spotlight, is like trying to make all of your children happy at once. Someone will always feel excluded. It's similar to taking use of the popular kid to make the entire class appear cool for more. Videos about hoops that highlight the most recent and noteworthy stories. If Caitlin Clark can hit a logo 3, you can click a button to express your gratitude for all